Welcome to part one of our P2 check ride practice. We're going to be flying from Hillsboro down here in Oregon on up the airways to Astoria, Oregon. That's going to be our route. We're going to cover these bullet points right here. We're going to take a good look at the weather, including winds aloft, ice conditions, and we're going to make a go, no-go decision. We're going to look at choosing an alternate in case of bad weather. Then we're going to take a look at our cross-country route. We're going to talk about ATC interaction, who's online, when to contact them, that kind of stuff. We're going to look at our route selection. We're going to cover SIDs and not so much stars. They apply to higher altitude aircraft such as turboprops, jets, and we're going to be in a Cessna 172, so not so much stars. We're going to look at the airways that we're going to be flying. We're going to do a weather briefing, of course. We're going to do our fuel calculations. We're going to talk about the nav aids that we're going to use along the way and take an overall look at our flight plan, including the equipment in the airplane. Then we're going to move on to emergency procedures. We're going to look at icing, loss of equipment, and then we'll just look at the general en route portion, which of course includes ATC communications, use of Unicom, loss of communications, which will happen, by the way, proper ATC frequency tuning, and proper phraseology when we're talking on the radio. And that's pretty much going to wrap up part one. We're going to do all that and call that part one. All right. Let's go ahead and look at our weather briefing here. Look at winds aloft, look for icing, and we'll make a go, no-go decision. So, we got winds 0809 knots, not too bad. Visibility 10, looking good. Overcast 9,000. I'd say that's looking pretty good so far. And Astoria, we've got winds out of 130, 8 knots, not bad. Visibility 10, not bad. Overcast 10,000, looking good. Looking pretty good. So let's jump on over to the old Aviation Weather Center here. Whoa, buddy. That is close. So, you know what that means. Trace. That's us. Trace. Of course, we're going to be climbing to 6,000 feet, so pretty close call. What's it look like around 3,000? That looks good at 3. Not bad till we get up to altitude. Hate to say it, but that's a no-go right there. Just based on icing. How about winds? Alright. Wind's not a problem. How about clouds? We got some overcast around 11,000. Looks like 11,000-ish all the way. Just updated and about the same. So, yeah, clouds are not a factor. So, that's a no-go decision. Because, this looks like a good day to stay home and drink beer.
Time for beer.
That's what I do. All right, so we covered the weather, all that, made a go, no-go, and it's a no-go. So let's look at choosing an alternate here, just in case. Just say, you know what if there were no icing? And the weather at Astoria here was forecast to be below 2,000 feet and 3 miles visibility an hour before and an hour after our arrival. If that were the case, we would need to choose an alternate airport. Of course, we could always choose Hillsboro as an alternate, kind of just turn around, come back. That would be fine. Another good option I like up here is Olympia. They've got a precision approach going on. So let's say we're choosing Olympia as an alternate. We'd need to take a look at the weather there, which we have right here. All right, they have an ILS. That being a precision approach, we need at least 600 feet and 2 miles visibility an hour before and an hour after our expected arrival. From the 28th, from midnight here to tomorrow at midnight, they're forecasting winds 050 at 8 knots, visibility is over 6 miles, and ceiling is broken at 20,000. Look at that, 20,000. So, yeah, that's cool. That would be a good alternate, and that's the one I'd probably choose. All right, knocking them down here. Alternate in case of bad weather. Got that one. So let's take a look at our cross-country route. Let's get back down here where we belong. Yeah, okay, that's good. All right. So we're departing Portland Hillsborough down here. We're going to pick up what's actually Victor 165 right here. Victor 165. See how it lights up? That's kind of cool. Victor 165 Peter. So what is our minimum en route altitude along Victor 165? 6,000 feet. That's us right there. We're cruising at 6,000 feet, so we're cool. Once we hit Peter, we're going to hang a left on Victor 112. Minimum en route altitude, 5,000 feet. We're looking pretty good. And that's going to take us to Astoria. All right. So that's our en route routing. En route routing. That's our cross-country route. So, basically, we got that. Now let's talk about ATC. Who's online when to contact them? Turns out, as far as VATSIM goes, nobody's online. That's where we're going to be flying from here, up to there. Nobody's online. Looks like Seattle Approach is online, but they're not going to be able to help us. So we're going to have to kind of fake it when it comes to ATC. So let's look at Hillsborough Airport information. So what we've got going on here is Hillsborough Ground and Hillsborough Tower. All right. So on the ramp, we would contact Hillsborough Ground for our IFR clearance. That's who we'd want to be talking to. Now let's check their hours of operation. The hours of operation for these guys, for everything, is 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's when they close the doors. So that means between 6 and 4 p.m. we'd contact Hillsborough Ground, get our IFR clearance. Also contact Hillsborough Ground when we're ready to taxi. We'd taxi on out to the runway and get in touch with Hillsborough Tower. They'd give us our takeoff clearance and they'd switch us over to Portland Approach. We'd pick them up 118.1, and once they cut us loose, we would pick up Seattle Center. The thing is, Portland Approach is going to hand us off to Seattle Center. They're going to say contact Seattle Center on such frequency. So they're going to give us the frequency. So at some point, we're going to request and get cleared for the ILS 26 here into Astoria. So at some point, Seattle Center is going to ask us if we once we're established on the approach and everything's good, they're going to ask us if we want to cancel IFR with them in the air or if we want to cancel it on the ground. And we're going to say we'll cancel it on the ground because we're going to do a missed approach and we're going to do some more flying around before we're done with IFR. So that's what's going to happen there. So we'll be talking to Seattle Center here. We'll also be on Unicom 122.8, talking to the local traffic. And we're going to do our missed approach. We're going to contact Astoria traffic first on CTAF 122.8, let them know what we're doing. We're going missed. And once we contact them, we'll get in touch with Seattle Center, let them know that we're going missed. Well, they'll probably say contact us when you're in the hold. And we will do that. We'll enter the hold. And we'll contact them. And they'll ask us what our intentions are. And we'll tell them what our intentions are. And we'll be talking to Seattle Center and Astoria CTAF kind of at the same time. Covered. So, route selection, we talked about that. Now let's talk about the standard instrument departure that we're going to use. We're not going to use any stars, like we talked about earlier. So let's take a look at SID. We are going to be using the Scapo 7 departure. So we fly off any of these runways here, runway 20, runway 02, or runway 13, right? We're going to take off, climb to 400 feet above the airfield elevation, and when we're clear of the runway, we're going to commence a climbing left-hand turn to heading of 270, climbing all the way. We're going to intercept this 334 radial out at Newburgh, and we're going to fly that radial on up to Scapo, climbing all the way probably. And that is our standard instrument departure that we're going to use. Pretty cool. Airways. Yeah, we pretty much already talked about them, didn't we? I think we did. Good to go on that. Airways covered. Weather briefing covered. Fuel calculations. All right. So check this out. Using Sky Vector here. And creating a nice little nav log here. That's Sky Vector is awesome. Love it. Gives us our distance, our estimated time en route today, based on the winds. Yeah, and our route. It calculates all that good stuff for us, and it comes up with a fuel burn. But being IFR pilots, we've got to take a step further. So I threw this little spreadsheet together. It's pretty basic. I got the flight time in minutes. As you can see, time obtained from Sky Vector. It said 30 minutes, so I put 30 minutes in that little window. Distance, same deal from Sky Vector. And I got this information from the Pilot's Operating Handbook. We're starting off from 200 feet, basically sea level, climbing to 6,000 feet at VY, so 74 and then 73 knots, indicated airspeed. Right? And it's going to take us 10 minutes, and it's going to take us 2.2 gallons of fuel. It's going to cover 13 miles. Into the spreadsheet that goes. I factored in 10 minutes for start, run up, and take off as well. And gave us 1.4 gallons for that. So here we are in the climb, 13 nautical miles, 10 minutes of climbing, 2.2 gallons of fuel used, leaving us with 22.6. We start off with 26, do our start, run up, take off, all that good stuff. And we do our climb, burn another 2.2. Leaves us with 22.4. And that leaves a remaining distance of 47.3 miles. That's going to take 20 minutes. 10 for the climb, 20 for the cruise, equals 30. Okay. And again, from the pilot's operating handbook, gallons used, 2.8. We're not adjusting for temperature because our temperature is below standard. If it were above standard, these numbers would be adjusted for the above standard temperature. But it's below standard, so they're not. Leaves us with 22, and then we cruise to our destination, and we used a total of 6.4 gallons of fuel. We have 19.6 gallons left over. So, what if we had to fly to our alternate today? Well, we chose Olympia, and according to Sky Vector again, the time it would take us to get to Olympia is 37 minutes, and the distance would be an additional 63.7 miles. So we'd go through our missed approach, but it would take about 4 minutes for us to go missed, climb to 1,500 feet, then do a climbing right turn, enter the hold. That would all take 4 minutes. And we'd be climbing the whole time. So we'd be using 1.2 gallons to get there. That brings us down to 18.4. All right, so now we're in the hold. We're not really screaming through the hold. We got the power pulled back a little bit at about 2,100 RPM. And up here, I calculated our fuel burn from the pilot's operating handbook. The hold's at 2,900 feet, so rounded off to 3,000. At 2,100, we're burning 6.5 gallons per hour. Okay, so we're in the hold for 10 minutes. And we're burning 1.08 gallons of fuel. Okay. We made up our mind and got clearance from Seattle Center to head on over to Olympia. We're going to cruise over to Olympia at 5,000 feet. It's going to take us 4 minutes to get there. We're going to burn 0.7 gallons in the climb up to 5,000 feet. And that's going to leave us 16.62. And then we're going to cruise to our destination. It's going to take us 33 minutes from that point to get to our destination. We're going to be at 5,000 feet, burning 8.3 gallons per hour at 2,400 RPM. So we're going to be cruising along. It's going to take us 4.57 gallons to get to Olympia. All right, so we reached our alternate destination. We still have 12.05. So we factor in the 45-minute reserve required for IFR flight, get to your alternate, and have an extra 45 minutes on board. So 45 minutes, cruising at 5,000 feet, 2,400 RPM, 8.3. So you take 75%, you know how it works. 75% of 8.3 is 6.23. That's how much we burn. And after 45 minutes flying around extra, we are left with 5.83 gallons in the tank. We used a total of 20.17. So clearly we have more than enough fuel to get there. All right, fuel calculations done. Navigate. All right. On the ground at Hillsborough before takeoff, I'm going to put Newburgh into nav 2. 117.4 goes into nav 2. I'm going to set the OBI to 334 so we can intercept this radial right here. Okay, so that's going to be in nav 2. And also in nav 2, on standby, I'm going to put Astoria 114.0. and you'll see why in a minute. So we're going to track 117.4 on the 334 radio up here to Scapo. At this point, I'm going to be flying, I'm going to be flying Slant Gulf. So at this point, I'm going to be on GPS. So I'm going to pick up Peter on GPS. I'm going to head this airway on GPS. And in Nav1 now, okay, I'm going to tune in the localizer for runway 26. So 109.5. That's going to be the active frequency in Nav1, okay? And that's going to be obviously for our approach. Now also in Nav1 on standby, after we go missed, I'm going to flip over to 114.0 in Nav1. And I'm going to be using the Astoria VOR for the missed approach work. The missed approach for 26 is climbing straight out to 1500, then a climbing right-hand turn to 2900 to the Astoria VOR, where we enter this hold. And the hold is flying the 259 radial inbound, okay, this way, for 1 minute, right? So I'll be flying that radial inbound. I'll make a standard rate turn, and then I'll be flying a 259 heading, not the radial, just the heading outbound for a minute, adjusted more or less for top, depending on the winds. And then I'll be picking up that 259 radial again. So yeah, that's why I'm putting the Astoria VOR as standby in Nav1, because I'm going to be using that once we get into the published hold. All right, that's the nav aids. 2 VORs, a localizer, and GPS. File flight plan, including equipment. We'll have our going for K-Hio, 2K Astoria. And we're going to be at 6,000 feet. IFR, Slant Gulf. And our route is going to be as follows. All this stuff we can copy and paste. Blam. And that's our flight plan. Hillsborough, destination, Astoria. Put our alternate in here if we want to. Olympia. Time, whatever. Cruise speed, true airspeed. I'm thinking 108. In fact, that's exactly what it is out of the pilot's operating handbook. Cruise altitude 6,000 feet. Our route, Scapo 7 departure. Scapo, Victor 165, Peter, Victor 112, the Astoria VOR. Equipment suffix, Gulf. So that's the flight plan. That's the equipment. Speaking of equipment, we're going to need to know something about the aircraft's equipment. So on my first Checkride, the instructor asked me to talk about the AHARS a little bit. And I said, AHARS what? Never heard of it before. So it'd be a good idea to take a look at your aircraft and systems description in the pilot's operating handbook. So as far as the AHARS right here, that is responsible for your attitude and heading information. It's, I think of it as kind of a substitute for the physical gyros inside the steam gauge type instruments. So that's going to include the heading, ditch, bank, yaw, slip, rate of turn, and that's pretty much how I understand the AHARS. was also asked to talk about the air data computer, which I knew nothing about. The air data computer, which is responsible for displaying the pedostatic information on the PFD when we're flying around. So it's going to supply information regarding our airspeed, our altitude, vertical speed, outside air temperature. It's going to compute our true airspeed for us. So that stuff's pretty important to know, at least. And I would certainly recommend giving the old POH a nice good read through here. All right, flight plan and equipment. So for emergency procedures, icing. Get out of it. That's the emergency procedure. If you're BFR, if you're in VMC, land, okay? If you're not VMC, if you're IMC, declare an emergency and land. Okay, loss of equipment. Again, land. That is pretty much the golden ticket for 99% of your emergency procedures. And of course, good old pilot's operating handbook. So this is where you go. POH, emergency procedures, table of contents, covers a lot of emergencies. So let's look at icing. Icing, you declare an emergency. Loss of equipment, you declare an emergency. All right, so ATC communications we pretty much covered already. Who you talk to, when you talk to them. Unicom, pretty much covered that. Once we get close to Astoria, since it is an uncontrolled airport, who we are, where we are, and what we're doing. That goes over Unicom. Loss of communications, we're going to be squawking 7600. And if we're in VMC, probably a good idea to land at the next airport. But if we're stuck in IMC and we're, flying along, all of a sudden lose our communications, we'll continue along the next logical path to our landing. Proper ATC frequency tuning. That's just knowing who to tune in and when to tune them in. So proper phraseology. It's just a matter of radio syntax, really. As I'm coming into Astoria on the ILS, I'll chime in on Unicom. First, Astoria traffic. I get, that's who I'm talking to. Then my call sign, November 6529 Lima. Then my position, 10 miles east of the airport, 3,000 feet. Then what I'm doing, inbound for landing on runway 26. Finish it off with Astoria. So that's kind of typical Unicom phraseology. And when you're dealing with ATC, repeat back what they said, finish off with your call sign. So that'll do it for part one. It gets a lot more exciting after this, believe me. If you have any questions, by all means, please post them below. And I will do my best to answer them. If you have any comments, see anything where I really messed up, absolutely. Put it in the comments. All right, take care.